Hey guys, it's John, Small Time Bookseller. Welcome back to another video. I'm here to tell you what's sold, and we'll be getting into that shortly. If that's what you're here for, if that's why you're here, if that's what you're after, then you're in the right place. If you like to hear about things that's sold on eBay, that's what I do. And I don't do any garage sale videos or yard sale videos, and I sparsely ever do any, GoPros at the Goodwill bins. I'd be looking at my hands, intercepted by an individual with a leather face who looked as if he'd been there since the dawn of the last century. No, indeed. Pretty much, I do these kind of videos where I tell you what is sold. Now, I have started in with the thrift haul videos, and I've got one that I recorded earlier today, so that'll be, hopefully this will come out on Monday, and I'll put that one out like maybe Wednesday, I'm thinking. Thursday, thrift haul Thursday, I don't know. But we're going over just what's sold, and I'm up to March, so I'm going to do the entire month of March today. Going to do it a little bit differently. We'll see how it goes, see how everything, excuse me there, a piece of tape because not wanting to come off. And yeah, so are you ready for this? Oh, I am sporting Colorado and Denver. Broncos won, and they played the Titans, and the quarterback for the Titans, if you don't know, is Cam Ward, who is from West Columbia, which is just right over there. The high school that my wife teaches at. She taught him algebra. So it's kind of fun to have a big name like that who won the Heisman and now is a professional quarterback from our little town, as it were. So perfect day for me because he played well enough, but the Broncos won. So I was happy. All right, are you ready for this? So what I'm going to do here, I had 89 sales in the month of March. Relax, sit down, don't stand up and walk out yet. I'm not going to go over all 90 sales. I'm going to highlight the ones that were $30 or more. So right now I'm going to tell you the 30 and under very quickly. So if you want to see any of these in depth, you can pause them. I wanted to put them in because the under 30 crowd, that's an important group of sales. That's kind of the old bread and butter, as they call them, the stuff that just keeps selling, but it's not too exciting. So in that under 30 crowd, I had 4 RB theme books. I had 4 hats that sold. I had 3 different sales of dishes. I had 7 different vintage books, 3 religious books, 3 CDs, a DVD, 4 items of clothing, 4 books on music, 4 on military, 2 on trains. We had 4 not medias, things that weren't media at all. And then I have others of like 9 other books, and they were just kind of general nonfiction-ish kind of stuff. So all of those, you can just kind of pause if you want to look at those more closely, but I'm not going to worry too much about them. We're just going to get into the over 30 crowd. So, yeah. You ready? You got everybody? Okay. Paused if you wanted to and saw those, but I'm just going to hit the ones right here. The first one that we sold for $30 is The Secret Doctrines of Jesus by Spencer Lewis, 19th edition. The Secret Doctrines, that's the one where he tells you what he really wants you to do, and to forget about all that other stuff. That's Secret Doctrines. And then another $30 sale was George Fletcher Bass, The Archaeology Beneath the Sea. This one was signed by the author, sold for $30. We had Daniel 8 DVD set of Daniel, an expositional commentary, sold for $30 as well. Another $30 sale, the NEC 1999 National Electrical Code Handbook. $30 for that. All right. Then we had our first not a book. Well, we had the not a media, I should say. This is a porcelain German ballerina, sold for $30, and I have gotten several of these from the little thrift store by the high school, and I've sold a few of them. got a few still, and I picked up a couple today that you're going to want to watch the video on Thursday to see. They're really something that could be quite valuable that I picked up today that were also the similar style, but really nice ones. So check out the video Thursday to see what I picked up today. Then we had a cookbook, 1975, Russian-American Recipes, Orthodox Church, Miami, Florida cookbook was $30. So we talk about cookbooks a lot on here, and it just varies. Cookbooks is an interesting genre. It seems like very specific, either cultures or cuisines can sell really well. Like this one was Russian-American recipes. That's pretty specific. It's not just general American kind of recipes. So most cookbooks that are just church compilations, school compilations, they don't sell well at all. But even though this is from an Orthodox church, it's specific to Russian-American recipes. And so that makes it valuable. So I've often picked up ones from New Orleans, Louisiana that are Cajun recipes, very specific ones. Jewish recipes can sell. But a lot of them are not worth much money at all. And then you get the big name cooks, like from like the Food Network chefs that are always putting out books all the time. They sign a lot of those, and they don't have a lot of value, but I've sold an Alton Brown, I've sold an Emerald, ones that were signed. And if you get one that's signed, it's worth more obviously, and worthwhile to pick up. The next one we got was Psychological Exercises and Essays. $30 as well on that one. And then this was a fun sale because I'll tell you why. This is the Mackenzie Taxidermy Supplies, a catalog from 2020, 2021. Sold for $30. And I laugh at this one because at some point somebody sent me a message. They just felt, they had nothing better to do on a Saturday afternoon than to message me and say, why are you selling something that you can get for free? And I don't know, but somebody paid $30 for it. So, to that guy. The next one is Vintage Nancy Drew Lot. This is a set of 8 hardcover books for $33. So Nancy Drew books sell pretty well. I've sold several lots of Nancy Drew books of any age. Older's better, but the later ones sell as well. And if you can buy them cheap enough, there aren't, maybe some of the really early ones could have individual, values that would make them selling on their own worthwhile. But generally speaking, I'm going to lot these up. So if I can get them for $3 for $1 at the bins and sell them for about $4 or $5 a piece, makes it worthwhile. Then we had the Greenberg's Guide to Mark's Trains, sold for $33. And then we had another Not a Book. This was a pair of brass and Delft blue porcelain coat hat and wall hanger hooks. $35.35 for those. And then we had a copy of Mortuary Law, sold for $38.87. Then the main law that you want to pay attention, Mortuary Law, the main one there, if you're dead, stay dead. If I was working in a mortuary, that's the one rule I would expect everyone to follow. If you can't do that, maybe you need to get out of the business. Mosby's Exam Review for Computed Tomography sold for $40. And then we had, a golf head cover for a Grateful Dead golf head cover. Sold for $40, just for one 3-wood golf head cover. This was a really old book. I don't know, it didn't have a date in it, but it was really, really old. This is Antique Hymns for the Use of the Methodist Episcopal Church, $40.37. And then this is a nice signed autographed book called Bab Black Sheep by Pappy Boyington, 1958 copy, 17th printing. So for $43 for that one. I thought that was pretty happy about that. What's next? We had the AHA 2020 Pediatric Advanced Life Support Provider Manual. Sold for $43. And I've actually sold this before. So this is one that does sell I don't know how often this gets updated. This one was from 2020, so I don't know if it's something that they update regularly or not, but it was still had some value there. And then I found a whole bunch of Garfield books, you know, those rectangular ones you'd get as a kid. There's a lot of those out there. I mean, they've made a lot of them. So I picked up, how many was it? 19 of these Garfield books. So 3 for $1, so I would have paid $6.33 for them. Put them up as a lot, and I got an offer. Somebody said this is for their kid's birthday. Big Garfield fan. She was just trying to get as many of these as she could, and I took the offer of $44 for those. So bought them for $6, sold for $44, and they sold quickly too. So Garfield books sell pretty quick. Then look at this. I picked this up at the little thrift store by the high school as well. This was ML Studio matching hat and purse with these orange feathers. Isn't that glorious? Sold for $45 for that. Halliburton story. I put Dick Cheney in the title of it just because he's famous from being from Halliburton. Sold for $50. And then we had the topographic laser ranging and scanning. Another book that sold for $50 as well. And here's one that you just never know. Looking at this little paperback, I never would have thought it'd be worth that much, but I had an interesting title, interesting cover, and so I looked it up. This is called The Way by Jose Escriva from 1963. $50 for that little paperback. I have no idea why. I'd never heard of it before. Haven't heard of it since, but it's over $50. Oh, and this next one is crazy too. So I saw this and I immediately thought it was something related to Star Wars, and it kind of is, but it's not Star Wars. It just looks like Star Wars, and it's from 1978. And so when did Star Wars come out? 77? I think I was like 6 years old at the time. So it was right at the time Star Wars was coming out. So I don't know if this was a absolute ripoff of Star Wars or what, but this was called War Game Space Fighters bag from 1978, and it was a game of some type, and it just looks like TIE fighters on the front cover. And you know, I'm thinking, oh, I picked it up. I thought, wow, this is like something 1978 Star Wars related. But it wasn't. But it still had value. So for whatever reason, that thing sold for $50. Then we had a book called Condensate Polishing Purification Technology for Steam Power. Sold for $50 as well. And then a really good DVD. So if you're looking through DVDs and you see things called the Criterion Collection, those can often sell for quite a bit of money. So this was Nashville Criterion Collection Blu-ray. $58 for that one DVD. And then I sold some plates. These were Snoopy and Woodstock Easter plates. So 4 of those sold, dinner plates, sold for $60. And I also sold 2 of them in the under 30 sale. Under 30 lot, there was 2 of those. So I sold all my Snoopy plates. And then this is a King Ranch hanging garment bag with a front zip, sold for $65. I think I had one of those sold for $100 last video, and this one is $65. Then we had, this is the front zip ones. I think this was the smaller of the ones that I found. Can't remember. Then we had a book called Axial Flow Fans and Ducks, $65 as well. Then we had the this one called The Literature of the Pampangos, sold for $75, and I have no idea what the Pampangos are or who they are. If I had to guess, I'd say they're probably an area of the Philippines. And if I was going to continue a guess, I'd say it's probably like the 6th largest ethno-linguistic group of the Philippines. I don't know. And probably related to Tagalog, but mutually unintelligible, more than likely. I would just, you know, using my logic, there's probably around 2.7 million Pampangos in the Philippines. Just, you know, just using some basic logic. Jimbo Aquino is probably a Pampango. He was a Filipino basketball player. And if I was just going to make a wild stab, just thinking of the name Pampango, I'd say that more than likely Benigno Aquino, a senator who was a Pampango that was assassinated, which led to the People Power revolution, but that's all just pure conjecture on my part. I have no idea. But anyways, yeah. Moving on, we have, where are we at? Hold on, there we go. Okay. Oh, man. Canvas work bands and borders. $75. Stitching books, quilting books, books on how to do specific kind of stitches or knots and things. Can really sell for a lot of money. This is one that really sold for a lot of money for what it is. And then I found these three. These are Goodwill bins finds, is sitting at the bottom of the bin. These are for books from the 1850s. Three of them. They're Godey's Ladies Book and Magazine from the 1850s in not good condition. And the three of them together sold for $75 though. So fascinating when you get things like that. Just to read some of the articles from the 1850s is just really, really interesting. Then we had another book along that same genre as the one that was previous, the Encyclopedia of Canvas Embroidery. $85 for that. So people who are doing embroideries they got some extra money to spend, I guess. And this was a fun find. This was at the Goodwill bins as well. A USMA West Point Cadet Army military wool blanket. In beautiful condition. $100. So that probably cost 7 or 8, maybe 10. Depends on how much that weighed, because $1.19 a pound, and it's a pretty heavy wool blanket. So if it was maybe 5 pounds, it'd be $10, $11. But it sold for $100. So that was a really nice find. And then this was a find. This was fun. I got this at the regular good old stinking Goodwill. Where they just had a bag of action figures. I think I paid $9, $8.99 for these. And I saw some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there. And that's what made me excited about them. And I thought they'd probably be worth more than $9. So I put them up for an auction. There were 21 total figures in the bag. Marvel, Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and more. And I put it up for auction, and it ended up selling for $127.50. So that was an awesome little find. It sold very quickly. And then the big sale of last March. I'm at the Goodwill bins, and I come across a whole bunch of these Western in Spanish, right? Yeah, these Spanish Westerns. They're about that big, little, maybe 30, 40 page stories. And there were just tons of them. And I thought, these are going to sell. Somebody's going to want these. So I start gathering them up. And I'm filling up a bag. And I'm filling up another bag. And I'm filling up another bag. And I get to the counter. And I'm like, hey, is there any way you can sell these to me as a group? Just by weight. Or not weight, but, do I really have to sit and count all these? And they're like, yes, you do. So I sat and counted out. Ended up with like 206. And I think so if it was, what's 3 for $1? So if it was 210, that would have been $70. Is that right? $70 times, yeah, it would have been 210 books, would have been like $70. So I sold those for $250. 200 is actually about 206, but in the listing, I think I put 200. Spanish, Western, they're called bolsilibros, like pocketbooks of different authors. Sold for $250 for those. So it took a while to sell them, not a long time, maybe a couple months or so. But I thought my original plan was to sell them in groups of 4 or 5, just random, here's like 5 of these. And I wasn't getting any traction on those at all. I hadn't sold any lots. So I took that listing down and then just put them up as a bulk lot. and it sold. So I was asking $250, and that's what it sold for, was $250. So that was a fun sale. So that was it for March. What do you think? So the total, where's my totals at? Here we go. Like I said, there's 89 sales. So that was nearly 3 sales a day on average for March, which is really good for me. That's 59 books, which totaled $1,876 for a $31.81 average. So very good average. That was obviously per sale, not per book, because that last sale had 200 books in it. But for per sale, $31, which is more than my arbitrary figure of $25 that I figure is a good sales period. And then my Nada books, I had 30 Nada books. So that's a sale a day for March almost. For $905.47. For a $30.18 average, which is what I was gunning for in March. So I was glad to hit that target and go over my book target. So the total for the month, $2,782 worth of sales for the month of March. So that was a pretty darn good month for me. And that's, think about all I've got to say today. I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me what you think about doing the lesser sales the way I did it today, where I'll just kind of pop up some pictures and let you pause on it if you want to. And if you're not interested in those, we'll just get to the hearty, meaty bits a little bit sooner. So anyhow, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and hope you sell the heck out of a bunch of stuff if that's what you're trying to do. And thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you sooner rather than later. Adios.